Zimmerman. He's going to hold this to the finish.
And welcome to CVR World Cup Vancouver. I'm Beth York.
Hi, I'm Chris Haskell, the old guy at the desk, right? We're at the Burnaby Velodrome here at Harry Jerome Sports Center, just minutes away from downtown Vancouver, BC. We're thrilled to be here in Canada at this velodrome. It's actually one of only 3 velodromes in the entire nation of Canada. Can you even believe that? That's crazy.
It's amazing. And we're here for a 2-day multi-stage pro esports cycling race. Over the course of the next 2 days, we'll be broadcasting 5 grueling races with multiple point lines for both the men and the women. And the points winner at the end of stage 5 will take home $10,000.
$10,000. Right. Here at the Burnaby Velodrome, they're giving away $10K to the top rider, and everyone gets paid. Paid, Beth. Okay.
Earning it today, though.
That's right. You see the line of trainers out there. Their men are warming up right now. You can see behind the scenes a little bit. You've got the technical crew. You've got the bike mechanics, the coaches, our cyclops techs, right? It's a crew. It's a huge crew here to make this pro cycling esports event, make it the best on the planet.
And, you know, we can stop at the planet. Why stop there? The best in the universe. This is going to be the best pro esports cycling race in the multiverse.
It's in the Matrix, ladies and gentlemen. Neo may be racing later today.
Yeah, that's right.
But what the heck are we talking about? Esports, pro cycling. Those of you on Mixer, you already know what this is about. But we're talking physical esports. In this case, racing on bikes, which is a whole new breed or discipline of professional bike racing. Here's a little background on esports.
Esports. We love to play. Since the 1980s, video games and competitive gameplay have been part of our Western culture. The video arcade, the Atari, Nintendo, PlayStation, even PC gaming are all part of this rich cultural lineage of play. We play ourselves, we watch, we even compete. What makes an esport? Well, any individual or team game that can be played on a level playing field in competition, whether that's live or online.
Still alive! Charm's gonna land onto him! Is he gonna be able to walk away? Baker is still running, still damaging, and another turn, and expansion goes down!
While there are half a dozen top-tier esports, more than 100 different titles are being played competitively around the world. Esports break all boundaries. They're played by men and women across cultures and can be played on consoles, PCs, and even mobile devices. Esports are truly a world sport. Over the last decade, we've seen interest, broadcasting, and live events eclipse those of their traditional sport counterparts. Esports are a massive draw. We love to watch them live, and we love to watch them stream. For people under 30, video games are the most popular media industry in the world, more popular than television, music, or movies. But competitive video game play is not just something we do, it's something we watch. In 2016, more people watched the League of Legends Championships than the World Series, the NBA Championships, or the Stanley Cup playoffs. That makes the top 3 sporting events in the World Cup, the Super Bowl, and a video game competition. Esports are the sport of the rising generation. Talented players, broadcasters, and managers are filling every level from professional, now to collegiate, high school, and even Pee-wee. To many, esports is the biggest world they've never heard of. But to millennials, it's the future of competition, of broadcasting, and of sport. But not the distant future, the future of today. This is esports.
And this is physical pro esports.
Yep.
So let's talk about how the athletes in this room got here to CVR World Cup Vancouver.
Yeah, who are these people and how in the world did they get here? Well, let's actually give you a little bit of a visual here. So these racers have been battling it out for, over the last 12 weeks, but 8 weeks of a regular season, a worldwide regular season. This is the World Cup, after all. It's a pro esports league, 8 global zones, 8 races once a week, and these are live streamed in the riders themselves. Live stream in the same way that they're going to stream today. Now, they're separated by levels of ability, and the A category, the top rider from each of those zones, advances to this one right here, plus a couple of invites. That's, 8 zones plus 2. 2 plus 2 is 4 minus 1, that's 3. Quick mass, and the fan pool continues to grow as these riders come here. So these are the best of the best from the second season, very much like Overwatch or other, esports properties or multiple seasons throughout the year. This is the end of the regular season that brings them to this.
And the league racers that aren't here, some of them won this fabulous swag, courtesy of our sponsors, Garneau Performance Tees, awesome hats, some fun songs.
You had that hat on yesterday, I
did.
remember.
I loved it. It was pretty styling. And, of course, Saracen Cyclops water bottles. So
yeah, lots of swag out there.
A lot of stuff, yeah.
Yeah, you see the riders on their stations, and last night the riders were weighed in, and today they've logged into Zwift. They've calibrated the Cyclops trainer so that everything is equal. All the data is correct, and these smart trainers interact with a game called Zwift, and that's like a game controller. The cyclists pedal, their bike and avatar move through the game, and the Cyclops trainer is sending power data, which is actually translated into the game. But also, the game sends data back to the Cyclops trainers, so as the road resistance pitches up, they get much harder to pedal. It's like riding out on the road.
It really is. In this game, our cyclists will be racing head-to-head for 5 stages, and you can watch each of the riders station their camera and their game screen at cycleview.tv.
Yeah, you can check it out. You can watch any of the favorite riders you want. You can even turn us off.
But please don't. We hope you stick with us. And when you're there, you can cheer for your favorite riders, and the riders will actually see the message you send them right on their screen. And better yet, those cheer dollars actually go to fund both the prize pool as well as 50% directly to the rider that you cheered for.
Yeah, and unlike previous CVR World Cup events, this will have 5 stages that lead to that $10,000 plus. If folks chip in, there's going to be even more prize money to give away. But 5 stages over the next 2 days, and with points awarded throughout, it's going to be amazing. Let's take a look at how this whole thing works. You're like, well, what are you guys talking about, point races? Here is what we mean. So again, 5 stages over the next 2 days, and here's how it's going to work, right? It begins with this first one that we're going to see in just a moment. It's a TT, an individual time trial, 11.5 kilometers and 160 points available. Next, this endurance eliminator, and there are multiple sprint points along there worth different values, 1 times, 2 times, 5 times at the very end, over just under 30 kilometers, 240 points awarded. The next one, the first one tomorrow on the London Loop, will be Sky's End. It's the first climbing stage, 15.7 kilometers, but 240 points available. Then, oh my goodness, the mother of all stages, Fast and Furious. There are 10 different point lines in there. It's going to be chaos. And then finally, it's going to end with Sky's Beginning. Right? Just follow me here, right? 14.6 kilometers uphill and a huge finish. You'll be able to watch the riders throughout all of the races and know exactly where they are in the point standings, because that's going to be on screen. You're going to see them sorted accordingly. It's going to be unbelievably exciting.
And, it's a totally different format than what we've seen before. So, in the previous World Cups, it was, the one banner that counted, and that was the finish.
Yep.
And so the riders are really going to need to think about what they're going to bring and then what they need to save for tomorrow. So the tactics are going to be very exciting, and particularly starting off with this time trial today. Yeah. There's going to be some carnage.
There is going to be some carnage. Okay, so we need to kick it off and tell you who in the world is racing. And let's tell you a little bit about this men's race. They're warming up right now. We gave you just a little bit of the explanation of how this is going to go, but let's give you this one right now. This is the course that we're going to race today. In the first spot here is, again, we mentioned it. It's the race of truth here. Stage 1, 11.5 kilometers. It begins with truth, as we said, right? It's only one lap. Now, the riders are going to be able to see each other, Beth, the whole time through this. And that's a different psychological advantage to a normal time trial where you're really just on your own against the clock.
And they're on a time trial bike.
Yes.
So there will be no drafting benefit in this
Right.
race.
You could ride behind somebody, but you're not getting any benefit from doing it other than a psychological benefit of, hey, I'm in your back pocket.
I'm right here.
Yeah, but you see, pancake flat. Now here is who we've got riding in this today. These 10 riders, again, from all over the world. The first rider down the line is going to be a guy named Gavin Dempster. I'll tell you a little bit about him in just a second. He's the youngest rider in this group today at 29. Do you have any guess as to who the oldest rider is in the group?
You know, I'm not one to guess ages, Chris. You know,
now.
You know, I like to. I feel like it's going to be on the rider cards when we see them, but
it is. It is.
But you know, so I don't think that I'm ready. And here's the point lines. Actually, let's talk a little bit about the point lines.
An 11.5 kilometer time trial on the London Classique Forward. Cutoff time 40 minutes for the women and 35 minutes for the men. Now there's only one point line on this stage, and that's the finish banner for 8 times points. Cyclists must select and ride time trial bikes, which means there is 0 drafting benefit even when riding in the pack. It begins with truth.
There it is.
All right, and we were talking about the riders that are warming up, and I don't. It was so interesting to see them all file in yesterday.
Yes.
And get to know them. So let's actually, we have the benefit of getting to know them, but let's share with the viewers. So if we can take a look at the rider cards, we'll just run them right down and introduce you all to them here.
All right. I've been working on the pronunciations. This is Gavin Dempster from Scotland.
He is 68 kilograms, 29, and he's riding for draft, and he was the first at the Zwift Nationals.
James Phillips is the next guy in the lineup here from Wales.
And now I'm going to say their age 34, 79 kilograms for Team Innovation, and he is the Grand Prix winner for Nationals.
The Ikebe Shuffle, Sadeo Ikebe from Japan.
He was in CVR World Cup LA and gave us quite a show. He's going to be one to watch.
Lionel Vujasin.
And he is with the Rafa Cycling Club, and he's 3-time Wallonia cyclocross champion.
June Gravdal is next from Norway.
He is Team PTZ, and he has participated in over 100 Zwift races, which cannot be underestimated.
No, sir. A very experienced rider. This guy, Steve Young, he's got 2 sick pythons right there. Take him to the vet.
That's right, 79 kilograms, 34 Innovation Cat 1 rider for the last 4 years. Greg
Leo, redefining cool.
And he himself participated in over 250 Zwift races representing Team Draft.
Multi-time World Masters champion, Scotty Weiss.
And he is Team X and a double Masters World Champion, gets to wear those stripes. We love to watch Scotty race.
This guy, too handsome for his own good, Scott Cunningham.
Team Draft, we've got quite a representation of Team Draft. This is the Director Sportiva and also Zwift E-Crit finalist.
And of course, Joachim Ploumers.
65 kilograms, Team X, and the Zwift Netherlands National Championship. And he's been here before.
Yep, and he bears the title of Proper Good Dude. This is the lineup that we've got right here, and it is a really exciting lineup. Now, you mentioned that there are 3 draft riders in this field right now, and that makes it a little bit of a different race.
It sure does. It sure does. And it's going to be interesting to see how each of these guys play their strengths. And we're just about... We're inside 1 minute to that gate drop. So, all right, what do you think is going to happen?
Okay, so
it's a time trial. So you think it's going to start differently?
I had a conversation. I asked a couple of the riders ahead of time. So what's the strategy on this? How important is the first stage? And maybe the most experienced and most storied rider in here said something very smart, which is it's just points. It's not time. If you could get a time advantage on your teammate or on your opponents, it'd be worth something. But because you can't quite get that, then it's just not it's not as valuable to blow yourself up. You just want to make sure that you're in a good position.
Yep.
But somebody has circled this as maybe one of the most important stages, and I think we're going to see them right away.
Okay, and we are about 30 seconds to the race. You can see the riders down the line. They're all warming up. And you can see Scotty Weiss. And we have a perfect view here. So they're about 20 seconds to go time. And it is going to be insane, I think.
It is.
Because I don't even know how to call it, right? Is someone going to
Yeah.
come out of the gate hot? Like, is someone going to try to make a break early? Here we are on board with Scotty Weiss, Joachim Plausmers. Here we go. We can stay with one of these rider screens off the top, and it would be
Okay, look at it. All of them getting it spinning up, getting that wattage high so they can get going. And as we look at Plausmers right here, they get a big kick. The crowd goes nuts. I don't know why they're going so crazy nuts. Now, they can draft off each other. This is just what you can do on the bike, but you can see psychologically. Very interesting. Scott Cunningham just settles into his pace. Steve Young with those young guns, he's going to try to push to try to get to the front. And Yune right there, actually in a very, very good spot at the beginning. Scotty Weiss right there, the multi-time world champion. He's wearing 2 different jerseys today. He's wearing one in the building that we'll talk about, and of course, he's got his world championship stripes over his shoulder. Okay, Greg Leo settling in to his time. Now, what's great about this is that even though they're time trialing, they can actually stay in a comfortable on the hoods, on the top bar position. There's Dempster just kind of settling into his piece. Vujasin sitting in that second spot right now. It is Weiss who's settling into his big jump. Now, he's very well known to go hard at the very beginning of races and just get his engine cooking early. He's a very light, slight rider. We can see him physically here in the building. He's out of the saddle, really kind of tapping it up this hill. That's one of the only little areas of rise in this whole section. Okay, as you see it, Beth, what's your sense of just how people are settling in?
Well, I think at this point they're going to settle in. I mean, I think what I saw at the front was what I would have expected to see on one of the other stages where they're racing to get to that first banner.
Yes.
So right now you can see that effort at the top really only resulted in a 2-second lead and a 3-second lead from the field. Now, over the course of the kilometers here that they're in the time trial, you can close those gaps if you stay steady. You really can, because the people off the front are going to have to settle into a pace, because I was very surprised to see those guys come out so hot like that. And then the gaps, as we saw in the telemetry, weren't that large.
Yeah,
because everybody just kind of follow suit like they had to. But
very true, very true. Steve Young sitting in 4th place right now. He is trying to make the best of this, but he's falling victim, I think, to something, maybe victim to something that I was thinking about ahead of time. Right? There's no meta for this type of race format yet. We just don't have the meta. We don't know what the meta is going to be. In essence, the rules by which you are most likely to win the game. In traditional bike racing, it's to get a huge advantage on everyone else so that they forget about you, and then you take all the points. But this is a points race, right? So you could very easily kill yourself to beat someone in front of you and spend energy that you will like to have in the next stage today. And it's not going to actually get you what you want, right? There's Scotty, not shaven, looking good right there. We'll talk about the jersey and the kit that he's wearing for someone very close in the virtual cycling community. That would be Mr. Woods there. But we'll talk about the value of that and the love that he's giving his
and
friend
right now,
and teammate.
yeah, he's got a 2-second lead on Lionel, and right behind is Phillips and Young. And so these aren't huge gaps. I don't expect I expect some of them to close down, but right now with Scotty and Lionel at the front, I think those two it would be interesting to see how those two finish together. But those guys, 7, 8, 9, those can close up. Those can close up. I mean, it depends on how much they spend, but they're all over 5 watts per kilogram.
Ooh,
so.
there we're seeing it right there from the hips directly. People would say that is a terrible cycling position, but actually it is a very deliberate one. He wants to make sure that his trainer can rock back and forth. It's called the Ikibe Shuffle, and it was penned by 2 really, really smart guys, geniuses, really.
Yeah,
and
our friends at Cycle Hub.
Tim Fulford and Jesper Anker. The Ikibe Shuffle right there, which is his patented, well, probably not, patent pending.
Patent pending,
wiggle,
that's right.
which actually allows him a little bit more downforce. So in his body, he feels a little bit less effort. Now, there are a lot of people say, oh, well, that's, you don't want any nascent motion there. You have to, really. But no, he does not believe that, and he's ridden that technique to incredible success. People were shocked at how well he did at the major in LA.
Well, we will not be shocked by anything he brings today. today.
Nope.
Let's talk a little bit about the overlay, because we're going to see this over and over again throughout the course. So when you look at the game screen, you see at the top left, you see their watts in the blue box. You see to the right of that was the 8 times points. And you can see that when we go back to it, but we're going to be able to tell these point lines everywhere we go and how far away they are. And with the finish being the only point line in this race, you're not going to be guessing what it is, but there's going to be multiple lines that these riders are going to be informed by that. And you can see on the left-hand side, down the margin of the game screen, all of the riders, and as they accumulate points, you'll be able to see those standings update and the points update.
Yes, and you'll see down here at the bottom, you're getting folks that are chiming in over at CycleView.tv. You can actually cheer with cash for your different riders here. Adam Karn kicking in for Scott Cunningham. You can see all of those. It's fabulous to see. Greg Leo.
From Anonymous. Anonymous is a big cheer.
And you know what? Anonymous happens to be my favorite poet.
Yes.
It's true.
It is true.
Great and wonderful philosopher.
Prose. Yeah.
That's Yune gets one as well from, it looks like, Marta Gravdal.
So this is fabulous. So they are already, you can tell by the looks on their faces, they are already hurting.
No
and
kidding.
This is just stage 1. And tomorrow, 3, 4, 5.
Oh,
so it'll be interesting to see these strategies. But 8 times points, you can see the distance to the line there. And
boy, that gap really starting to grow from James's position right there in third to Vujasin, who's moved into first place there. He's overtaken Scotty Weiss. That is really interesting. He really wants the points here, and it may be a strategic move for him to try to put as many in the bank as he can. Yune is also a very good time trialist, but he finds himself now in 5th position overall, not in contact with his friend and compatriot Vujasin there, who's taken it over and is now 10 seconds ahead of Scotty Weiss. I think maybe Scotty might have been just doing a little bit of a test here throughout the gauntlet to see who had the legs today. And now he knows that Vujasin is someone he's got to pay close attention to. Lots of commentary coming in for Gravdal here.
Rocking it, man. Keep up the effort. Yeah, I love it. I love seeing it. So what we're seeing there with the orange is that someone is watching the game at home and also communicating. So it's very
kicking it in there.
Kicking it in.
All of the riders with headphones in today, some of them are kind of kicking some different tunes. Not sure what they're listening to. Maybe we'll catch some Spotify lists here shortly.
That would be great. Well, and all of the riders here do. I did see some posts about what their song lists are, and it's kind of interesting. It was really, really fun. But all of their phones do need to be on airplane mode so they do not interfere with the trainers. Here's the telemetry right now. Lanel has 8 seconds on Weiss, and you can see that Joachim, Steve, James, and Yune are in the second chase group, just about 5 seconds back. So this can tighten up. The positions can change a little bit, but Lionel says, I'm going to just keep hammering here at the front. 6 watts. It's 6 watts per kilogram. He's hammering.
And you know what? Scotty can pull him back. If Scotty decides he wants those points, he can probably go out and get them. He's got to be more careful of that trio that's coming behind him. Again, they do not get any draft benefit on their bikes. Hey, if you're joining us on Mixer or Facebook or MySpace or any one of these different things, thanks for joining us, first of all. And what is this crazy thing you're watching? It is the hardest video game ever. There's Steve Young Guns, Young right there. He may kiss those biceps here in a minute, which he is prone to do. It looks like by those wrinkles on his brow that he is in a spot of bother. Currently sitting in third position. He's about to, it looks to me, to catch. He's jumping back and forth there with Ploumers. The two of them are right there together, and James Phillips in that trio with them. This is a psychological trio. Again, no draft benefit on these time trial bikes in this. Now, other stages, yes, you'll be able to get quite a bit of an aerodynamic advantage from riding with other people, but not in this case. This is the race of truth. You're a racer, and you're going to race here in just a little bit. What's the strategy here? If you're in this trio, what are you trying to accomplish?
Well, I think that you're since you can't draft off each other, I think that you're just trying to keep your presence there and stay strong.
Yeah.
And you're also kind of hedging, like, how much do I have left? Can I save enough? And you're not drafting.
Nope.
But you're kind of doing that self-check. That analysis of, like, you know what, I know how I feel. I know I feel better than them. I'm going to be able to maybe at the end take away. Now, you wouldn't expect on the street a time trial wouldn't end in a sprint, but I think we are going to see that, which is kind of interesting.
Right. Gravdal right there with Phillips just in his sight, just up ahead. These riders only see the other riders in the race, and they are so close right now. It is so hard not to pull those back. His heart rate in an absolutely fantastic position right there. Oh, that is brilliant. As we see his screen as well, you get that ticker of the folks who are giving love, giving donations kicking in there. Scotty got one as well across the top bar of his game screen right there, which is good to see. He's in that second position, and Vujasin is putting even more time against him. Vujasin really putting it down.
He
right
hasn't
now.
backed down at all. So he has been 5.8, 6.1.
Yep.
Watts per kilogram. And if you are watching us on one of the other, on Mixer or whatever, if you haven't seen this type of racing before, their bikes are a game controller. And the power that they're putting to the pedals translates into the game. In the game, they feel the road resistance. If there's a little bump in the road, a rise, they feel that resistance. And here they are really working, real sweat, physical esports. So they are interacting with the game, and the game is interacting with their bike. And all of the trainers have been calibrated, and all of the riders have been weighed in. So it's their relative watts per kilogram of body weight that translates into their speed through the game.
It's very, very true. And people are watching this all over the world. Yes, it's an esport. Yes, Dembuck, it is MySpace. Look, I'm taking you out of my top 5 friends now if you get to talk like that, man. There is the Akibe Shuffle right there. Lots of people cheering at the bottom. If you want to cheer, you can do that over at cycleview.tv as well. Scotty Weiss, the world champion, wearing that Rick Woods jersey, which we'll talk about a little bit later. That's called a tease in the biz, kids. Write that down. Put that in your notebook if you have such a thing. Put it in your Trapper Keeper, your peachy. Okay, Joachim Plaumers is doing a really nice job staying in a good position. Greg Leo, mid-pack, where he would expect to be. At the bottom end of this pack, it's interesting to see. We've got Ikebe, we've got Dempster kind of at the bottom of this field here just a little bit today. They are tapping out their own race, not concerned about these points because they may not think that these points are as valuable as the ones that they're going to want to earn a little bit later. You see over on the right side of their screen, right, their rider position and the points that they have, that will populate over time throughout the day, and we'll see more and more points. But they see cheers, they see how many points. This is an 8x, and here we're coming up on the big finish. There's only 2,000 meters to go. They see it ticking down here for this sprint here in this section. He's getting out of the saddle right now. He's almost 10 kilometers into this right now, just coming up on 9 right here. There is a spot up at the top of this. That is, excuse me, those are not the points that we're aiming for right now. There's quite a bit left in this race.
2.1 kilometers here. It looks like at the top of the screen to go.
Oh dear goodness, that is foam coming out of his mouth.
I have been there. I have been there. Let me just say,
yes.
I have been there. Like, that is work. That is pure work.
And you do not care what it looks like.
Never. And that is work and pain, and you can see physical esports is best expressed in that pain face right there.
No kidding.
And you can see when we go back to the game screen, you can see on the bottom there the red and the yellow. That is their relative effort. So the red is the really their heart rate is going up. It's spiking. And when these athletes train, if you're not a cyclist and you're watching this, these athletes train to keep to learn how to get their heart rate up and hold it up and kind of suffer through it.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is intense suffering.
And you know what? Some people believe that games are supposed to be fun, and they think this looks hard, and I'm going to quote, as hell. And you know what? It is. But it's also fun as the very same.
Well, when I was a runner, I used to see cyclists, and I always thought, like, oh, my gosh, like riding a bike, and then I never realized how hard it is to race a bike.
Yeah.
And then, so you definitely have to be comfortable in those very uncomfortable spots. And as I like to say to my friends, go to the dark places. You go to the dark places.
Oh, boy.
And, like, look at him. Look at it. Lionel, right now, he has got a 40-second gap and going to the dark place, and he's still at 6 watts per kilogram. And Plaumers here is looking strong. He's one of our really active streamers in the league. So we've been watching him all year. He sometimes goes outside on his deck. We see him. And then Scotty Weiss, of course, who we've seen in CVR World Cup in Paris, and he's done, I believe he was also in Las Vegas.
Yep.
So he is not new to this game of cycling, and also not new to this event. So it's awesome to have him back. So he has, I'm sure, a strategy here. And here is Lionel, and looking strong. He's got a couple people over his shoulder checking it out. Rick Woods and Neil Stewart there checking it out.
No kidding.
Keeping an eye on him.
Yeah, they're impressed with what he's doing. And as he's working hard there,
did he just come across the line?
It appears that he did, or he's about to. He's about to come across the line. We're going to see a little bit of a salute here. He zips up so that you can see that his undies are clean, because that's the way you do it. But Lionel Vujasin about to cross first here. The next guy behind Scotty Weiss, 48 seconds back. It's going to be Vujasin who's going to cross first here, and he's going to take all of the points possible in this first stage. That is the race of truth, and the man telling the most truth right now, Lionel Vujasin. Fabulous for him.
Wonderful job. And we saw him all season long, too, in the league streaming.
Yes,
and
we did.
he would attack and attack and attack. That guy has legs that just don't quit. He's fierce and a tough rider. And we'll have Scotty coming across the line next, I believe.
Yeah, now Scotty and Vujasin in very different age
There he
brackets.
goes,
But
right
there
across
is
the line.
Scotty right now. And a rider of his vintage, shall we say, is really, really happy with a second-place overall finish in this one. He's
Yeah, look
racing
at those
against much younger
overall
guys.
watts per kilogram, 6.2 watts per kilogram for the duration of that race.
As Charles Barkley would say, that is ridiculous.
Greg Leo in
It's
third
just
comes
ridiculous.
right across the line. We just saw that. And here we are watching Une come across the line, PTZ, and Dempster here in fifth. Looks like Cunningham's coming up on his back about 5 seconds, but we're on board here with Dempster, who's eighth, and then Scott Cunningham.
All right, the points are starting to calculate over there on the side. You see those box and whisker charts. That's what they're called, by the way. Moving up, you guys can use that in
I did
in
not know
pub
that.
trivia. Box and whisker.
Okay.
That's a box and whisker plot is actually what it's called. But, more on that during our statistics conversation a little bit later.
Thank you.
But as Cunningham comes across there, he's going to be happy with that position as well. These riders starting to finish here. Now they've got to turn around pretty quick here, and we'll give you the final lineup here in just a minute because they've got to come up to this next race here in just a few minutes' time.
So once they all come across the line, so all of these riders not only had to finish the race, they had to finish the race in time.
Yes.
So there's a time limit, and then they have to, in the time between this stage and the next stage, they have to sign out of the game or get back into not sign out of the game, but they have to get back to the next gate, get themselves ready, make sure they have the appropriate fueling.
And I can see over here on the screen, Ikebe just finished. He was the last rider to cross that line. He's made an interesting decision here. He's decided that the juice was not worth the squeeze on this one, right? And that he would try to get his points other places. Okay, Jesper Anker is down on the line right now with a mystery interview, probably with Lionel Vujasin. But let's send it to him right now.
Lionel, we had Lionel Sanders in LA. We have Lionel Vujasin right here in Vancouver. How do you feel, man? You just did 6.2 watts per kilo in this TT.
Yeah, I feel quite good. Actually, I'm used to do 6 watts per kilo at training, so when I come back on Scotty, I try just to hold on 6 watts per kilo and see how the legs react. Was quite good, so I keep it up. And yeah, it's just some points, and let's see next.
See, I'm not sure this comes across to the stream, but you actually haven't even broken a sweat yet. Like, when does this race begin for you?
Yeah, but the fine is really good, so no broken sweat. So yeah, it was good warm-up for the next.
A good warm-up for the next. Good luck to everyone else out racing there, because Vujasin is just getting warmed up. Back to you, Chris and Beth.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, he did look pretty fresh.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
And that's got to have some sort of psychological impact on everyone down the line here.
And we saw the the ends of the spectrum. We saw Vujasin with the calm and then we saw Steve Young foaming at the mouth.
Yep.
The mad dog himself. My goodness.
Yeah, definitely gonna get after it. And I think though I did see like Scott Cunningham. I think he went out hard a little bit with everybody, but then he just sort of settled into his pace and let it go. And I think that it's interesting. It's really hard, and you can tell he's a seasoned athlete because it's really hard when you're competitive to not chase everything that's in front of you.
Yep.
So there was some restraint that we saw in that racing where people were kind of like knowing and made a decision. And the riders received a race Bible that had all of the stages, that had what the points were for each of these stages and point lines. So, what is happening today is just one piece of the puzzle for what we're going to see throughout the stages.
Yep.
So there's some smart play. I think there's some psychological games going on here. And it's fascinating. And you race. So
yes.
What would you have done in this first stage?
Oh, I'm with the KB all the way. The juice was not worth the squeeze.
Yep.
I'm just going to go out and use it as a warm-up. If I've got a chance to maybe steal a point or two from somebody without blowing myself up, that's what I do. But this next race with all of the point lines is going to be a completely
it's going
different.
to be a different story. Yeah, and we'll get to that a little bit and take a look at some of the riders down the line, talking, relaxing, refueling, and with the endurance eliminator is coming next. And the way that the whole course is designed is that there are allows everyone to sort of maybe exploit their strengths or exploit their competitor's weakness. So again, fast and furious tomorrow, and then the sky's beginning and end,
Yeah.
the climbs. So people have to be banking some stuff to be thinking about those roads ahead.
Now, but here's interesting, because these are broken into. You can put a lot more into this second stage today because you're not having to save it for a third stage today. Those start tomorrow.
Right.
So this could be just crazy go nuts, as we've talked before.
I think it is too, and it's going to be really hard to. So we've never called a race with all these stage
No,
points,
no,
right?
no.
This is the first time, so I think it's like
It could go terribly wrong, people. Seriously, the way it could be bedlam here any
Well,
minute.
that really wasn't what I was saying, but thanks for giving us an out.
It could
If
be
it does,
babies having babies, and we don't know what's going to happen here.
But we haven't called it. So usually we're kind of watching the little attacks that are happening, seeing who's chasing. But these attacks are it's going to make it come at different places.
Yeah, exactly.
So and I'm just getting word too that Jesper's on the floor again now with another interview with some feedback from Scotty Weiss.
See, Scotty, that actually looked like it hurt quite a lot. Talk me through that effort.
Oh, yeah, for sure it hurt. Especially, I like time trials for sure, but doing it on a road bike and doing it, in a virtual game is a little different. So my strategy was just to go as hard as I could in the beginning and set a wind to the point where I knew I could hold it. That's about the best I could do today.
See, you came in as the red-hot favorite for this event. But Lionel beat you by about 27 seconds. Like, what's going on now?
Well, we're going on points, so there's no real intent to chase for time. So I figured if I could just limit, the time gap there, I would get, a certain amount of points anyway. So.
True. So what's the strategy going into the next one? Because we got the Endurance Eliminator coming up, last stage of the day. You're going to give it everything?
It's all new to all of us, so I'm not quite sure I have a strategy for it yet, so I'll just try to race like always,
Anyway, man, good effort. Knuckles.
Thanks.
Back to you, Chris and Beth.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Knuckles from Scotty Weiss.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's great.
Wow, don't wash those knuckles. I don't think Jesper does.
No,
so
no.
I think we're okay with that.
We have about 13 minutes or so before our next race, and we'll talk a little bit about that stage.
So we're going to do
in a minute.
some dance?
Well, I know that our technical people are probably going to queue up some
things
stuff
here.
for us. Yeah.
Assets, as it were. There you go, kids. There's your second word for the day.
But there's not with these races. It's not always what you expect to happen.
Right.
And so sometimes when we see the replays, we learn something that we didn't see before.
Okay, so here's what I want to do real quick here. And we know we're gonna put our folks in the camera team on the spot here. I want to talk about a couple of the racers, and I'm gonna ask you.
Okay.
This is our new game, Beth. It's buy or sell, and you can play at home on Mixer as well. Here's the way we're going to do this.
Okay.
So if you had an opportunity to buy Gavin Dempster stock, 29-year-old from Scotland,
yes,
in the hopes that he was probably going to do really well, that you see something promising in his stock, are you buying or selling Gavin Dempster right now?
I'm buying. I'm long on.
How come?
I'm long on Gavin. Well, he's young. He's strong. He is. Okay, and he is. He's just someone we've seen in the league do really, really well consistently. So, how about you?
Okay, well, I see. I ask you the questions.
No,
I don't have
fair.
to commit to opinions.
Fair.
I can just make fun of other people's. There you go.
Yeah,
and
Chris,
right now,
played.
it looks like the Mixer folks are also buy. They're buying, and
okay.
they say that no more fist bump, and I think that's fair. Okay, so Hideo Ikebe, he came in last place here. Where's his stock? Rising or falling for you?
So Ikebe really showed us in CVR LA that he can climb.
Yep.
And that he is consistent.
So
like if we think of these stocks as companies, right?
Yeah.
So all right. So Gavin Dempster is the young company at the beginning.
He's the startup.
Right?
He's the tech startup.
Totally. Ikebe is sort of the more established.
So he makes hats.
No, I think he makes something way more interesting than
hey,
hats.
Hats keep your head dry.
He's an established. Maybe he's like a beverage man, like established, like one of like the new iced teas or something like that, right?
Oh, okay, he's an iced tea. Okay,
tall glass of iced tea.
Lionel Vujasin, he won this stage.
Oh, I am so long on Vujasin. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, I have been watching him all season long, cheering for him. When I was trying to learn a little bit about the riders in the league, he's a cyclops. cyclocross racer. He's
Yes.
a mountain bike. He's just done such a diverse thing, and I think he brings in also a really interesting personality. He's really into fashion, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, he's a fashionable fella.
He is really into fashion, and so he's got the whole package.
It definitely does. You heard it here first. Vujasin, the whole package.
The whole package.
Getting love from Scotty Weiss as he goes by there. Okay, June Gravdal. Where are you? He finished, I believe, 5th overall. He's from Norway, 30 years old, likes long walks on the beach. I believe he's a Sagittarius.
He's a Sagittarius?
That's what I'm
okay.
told.
All right. Okay.
I'm
I'm not sure. I'm a Taurus. I'm not sure how our personalities, but
and the internet doesn't care.
They don't.
Right.
They don't care. Right. He is also coming to this really strong, really fit. You know, we've watched him again, and that's kind of the benefit, right? You see these guys work the whole league, and you see them stream, and you see them, and you know, look at you can't go wrong. I mean, he is
true story. His tattoo is of me lying in some colorful wildflowers. It's true. I could not make that up.
That I would sell.
Okay, Steve Young with incredible effort here. Are you buying or selling Steve Young stock right now?
Hold.
You're going to hold, okay? You have some. You're not going to move it, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
You think he's got an opportunity? He definitely can put in the effort there.
I think that he's got some watts to bring. I think that he's going to have a little bit of a struggle on some of the climbing sections. So
he's sitting right mid pack right there, 5th overall.
Yeah. I think that he's probably talking some strategy there with a very experienced Kim.
Oh
Little.
Boy, Kim Little, absolutely.
Yep. So, but I would not want to see him in a dark alley.
No,
he's
no,
pretty
unless
tough.
he was on your side.
Yeah,
unless he was on your side. Okay, Greg Leo. Dr. Greg Leo.
The Lion, right? You know, of course. Yeah. He is fun to watch.
Are you buying or selling?
I'm buying. Yeah.
He's sitting in 6th place overall. Steve managed to get around him there at the very end.
Yeah, but I think with what the stages that we have left, again, there's little something for everybody. I think that Leo has different strengths.
Yeah.
And I also think, Steve has different strengths, so it's sort of how well they play the points. Right. Did they pick the right spot? I mean, of course, we're so early. We're just in stage 1, just a time trial, 1 point line. There are how many point lines? Like 17, So I think that you also have to weigh in not just the rider's ability, but the rider's ability to use their critical thinking skills while their heart rates are 200.
Yeah. Are they sticking to the plan or they're not? Okay.
Right.
Scotty Weiss.
Oh,
are you buying or selling Scotty Weiss stock?
Yeah, I'm gonna buy them all. You know what?
Come on here.
Listen,
come on
I'm
here.
gonna throw it back to you then. I mean, see, so it's almost like a portfolio. These riders, I'm gonna call these riders a portfolio of athleticism, right? And they have
That's a cop out, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah,
I just want you to know
you're welcome.
Just, mark the tape right here. Here's where the cop out happens.
Well, you don't get to CVR World Cup unless you are. You have proven that you can bring it.
I just want you to just flame some riders. Actually, let's go to the women's field. How do you feel about Lucy Collins? I'm kidding.
I love Lucy. I do.
Yeah, she's pretty lovable.
Yeah, they are. I can't wait for.
But that Beth York. Oh.
Yeah, let's not talk about her.
Tyrant. Okay. All right, couple more to get to. Scott Cunningham, Joachim Ploumers, and James Phillips. James did not have the race maybe that he would have expected. These guys find themselves just kind of in different spots of the field. Ploumers likely the highest ahead here. But Scott Cunningham, who is, as we mentioned this before, a rider of his vintage, right? He's up against much younger guys at 47. He's my age. You're much younger. You're, I believe, 29. But at least that's what you tell people.
That's right.
But of those folks, who do you think has the most potential in this next stage?
Well, I think that people were just holding back a little bit. I'm not going to use this performance that we just saw as a predictor of the next, because I know that there were decisions made of I have a 17-second gap. I'm not getting any. I'm going to get 2 extra points if I try to chase that down. I'm not going to spend it. So I think that we're going to see a lot out of Scott. We're going to see a lot out of those riders. So I'm going to put a little on Scott there.
Okay, we're going to throw to Jesper right now down on the floor. Take it away, my man.
So we're here with James. James, we've seen throughout the league that you can sprint. Could you TT? How did that feel?
Yeah, it's pretty tough, actually. I can TT, but I've been off the bike injured for the last month, and that really took its toll, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's optimal training for this, right?
Yeah, just struggled to keep that 400 watts for the second part of that race where, I know I can keep that normally. So, yeah, but, that's sort of to be expected. I'm a sprinter, so, the next one should suit me a lot better.
See, at the end there, we saw you sprint versus Steve. What's that? You guys are on the same team for innovation.
Yeah, I've always got to get one up on Steve and make sure I beat him each time. Like, can't let him have the bragging rights, So, yeah, just a bit of fun, that's all.
What do you want to say to the rest of the innovation guys out there watching right now?
Oh, it's a great team. Kyle, he's the boss, and he's a top manager. He's great, and yeah, fantastic bit of banter in the team, and it's a great team to be involved in. So, yeah, hopefully I'll do them proud.
Don't let that go to your head, Kyle. Anyway, good luck, James.
Cheers.
Give it everything. Back to you, Chris and Beth.
Thank you. That's awesome.
I love it. We're getting commentary from all over the place. In fact, Andy Jenner, apparently just let out of prison on Mixer, says that I disagree with Beth. You can get to CVR World Cup without being a strong rider. Just ask me. Yeah, you could be a talking head. All right, we want to kick this off and show you the course that they're about to race, because as I said, I'm predicting here that this is going to be crazy, because they're going to have a full day to recover after this. This could be everything they have left. This is the next stage, stage 2, the Endurance Eliminator, 29.5 kilometers, 90 meters. It's still pretty flat, but they're going to do 2 laps of this course with many different sprint points. And really, we're vying for the sprinter's jersey here because of all of the opportunities to get these points, and they're phased a little bit differently, which we'll find out about in just a second. But as you see, this circuit is small. It's low. There's just no climbing in this. This is a sprinter's paradise.
And of course, we also have the point lines, so we can take a look at what those point lines look like.
Here's where the strategery plays.
The strategery. I love it.
And it's stage 2, the Endurance Eliminator. It's 2 laps of the Greater London Forward Lap. Cutoff time is 1 hour for women and 55 minutes for the men. Now, there are 5 point lines in this race, each with its own multiplier. Here's a look. Stage 2.1, London Loop banner with a multiplier of 3 times points. Point 2, where the red road meets the black asphalt, 1 times points. Point 3, the leading edge of the crosswalk after exiting the tunnel, 2 times points. And point 4, the leading edge of the crosswalk where the road adds blue running lines, 1 times point. And finally, point line 5, the finish banner.
Okay, so if you're keeping score at home with your abacus, you got to start sliding those beads to the one side to get it to add up correctly. This is going to be really just like high school math, except probably without that cute person who sat just up to the front and you just kind of daydreaming the whole time.
But enough about you.
But enough about me. So these guys have gotten their juice boxes, they've gotten their orange slices. The team mom has helped them out a little bit, pulled up their socks, tied their shoes for them. It is time to go here, just 2 minutes out. Now, as we're looking at this stage a little bit, how many points again, Beth?
So there are a total of, I just lost my place, 12 times points here, 12 times points. And set over those 5 point lines. And with the different multipliers, someone can pick up 80 points. They can pick up 140 points.
So strategically, when you go is important. Should you ever let someone get off the front and leave you behind, Beth?
If it depends if that's going to go after that point line.
Okay, so math question for those at home. If Scotty Weiss leaves the line doing 6.5 watts per kilo and you leave the line doing 3.5 watts per kilo, what are your chances of ever catching him?
Purple.
Purple. Look to the end of the book where the answers are, and the answer is nothing.
You also flip it upside down,
yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and you just can't get there, right? You just can't get there if you let this get away. So there's going to be you can't take the same strategic approach you did to the last one.
No, not at all, not at all. So you will have drafting in this. So there is the pack dynamic. So you could have a strategy that could get completely blown away by some other move by one of your competitors. So it's not enough to just say, okay, this is where I'm going to make my move, and these are the point lines I'm going to go after. You actually have to say, well, that's great, but what if my competitor does this? Then how am I going to respond? Am I going to chase it down? So your plan, you could have a plan going into this with your abacus, and you could slide the numbers and talk about, I want to get 4th on that point line. I'm going to get 60 points there. But that, it all goes out the window because someone else does something different, and you need to have a plan B and probably a plan C.
Probably a plan C. But again, this is only stage 2 of a 5-stage race, but we're going to see, I think, a culling of a handful of people who are going to become our favorites. Lots of people in the chat think that it's Liana Vujasin. A lot of people believe that it's going to be Scotty Weiss. Both of those two sitting in 1-2 in the top of the field. But there are a lot of folks who really, really do sprint well. Okay, 30 seconds to go. These guys are starting to ramp it up, and we see a change in the posture across the line. We can see from our vantage point down the line of riders, and there is a definite change in attention because you cannot get left behind right here. Gate to drop in 15 seconds. What do we expect when it goes?
It's going to be fast. They're going to come out of the gate hot. We're going to see lots of red numbers, and we're going to see that no one's going to want to be left behind. And with this group, nobody will.
Oh my goodness, there's Vin Diesel. That's why, because it's fast and furious, and here it goes right now. They're revving their engines. Young trying to move to the front. He is a strong sprinter. Scotty Weiss, a very slight, very small rider. He can use that watts per kilo advantage. There he is right now. Young Guns himself trying to get out off the front. We see it from his perspective, but those rainbow stripes right behind him, that would be Scotty Weiss. Joachim Plaumers moving to the front right now. He's going to take over that top position right now, but I think this is probably going to come together. Steve Young with an unbelievable sprint right here. They are coming close to this very first 3 times points right now. 3x points just up ahead. 300 meters to go. It is Vujasin. He's going to try to come to that line as quickly as he can. They are lined out here, but there's still some moves that are going to happen. Vujasin now with 1 second lead. They may be able to close it. Young moving very fast, trying to get up there. Weiss now into that second position. Phillips now into that second position. They're fighting for these. They're going to come into this banner. They're going to get points, and boom! It looks like Vujasin gets those points. And Phillips did get those second place points, we believe, unofficial. Now you'll notice a relaxing because they're going to come together right here. Now here is the danger. You have a handful of riders that are behind now, unable to continue. There's Vujasin from the very low, handsome angle. Boy, he is stylish. You mentioned that before, and now I was struck by his just handsomeness. Okay, this is just getting weird, so let's go back to bike racing. There is Vujasin right there, Scotty Weiss behind him, and look at that wiggle. Akibe Shuffle, the reason he is wiggling is there's a 2-second gap between he and the rest of the group. That opening sprint, Beth, got him in a spot of bother, and this could come back to haunt the Japanese rider. It could, but still at 2 seconds, what can happen with all of those riders in the front, they will start to actually speed up a little bit with the aerodynamic effect. So they'll be drafting off each other, and so he needs to close that gap now and not lose the wheel so that he has a chance to kind of get some of those other points throughout this race. Now, we know from the past he's more of a climber than a sprinter, but right now, Yune and Joachim and Greg, 1, 2, 3. We're going to see a lot of changes here in that lead pack, and but we are going to be coming to where the red road meets the black road. That's the next point line. Oh, the serious look right there. That is a man who wants to stay in. His headphones in. He may be getting a little bit of team help. They can do that. A little bit of Discord channel, folks talking him through it, maybe coordinating that strategy. Now, he's been the director sportif of his team, but he very easily could be communicating with his teammates through Discord right there, and he's talking like he is. They're in different parts of the course here, but because these 3 riders from the same team qualified, they can use their team tactics on everybody else. About 6,000 meters before the next sprint point, we see Vujasin over his shoulder. This is what he sees, and now we see both together. People cheering for him on the CycleView.tv cheer banner right there. You can jump onto CycleView.tv and leave some cheers for your folks, which contribute to the overall prize pool. $10,000 on the line to one of these races. So crazy, and as the prize pool has been growing, and these World Cup events are just attracting just all this high level attention and riders. There was such a seriousness last night. There was fun, but there was some seriousness. These guys are coming to win, and with a prize pool that big, who wouldn't be, right? Exactly right. Exactly right. Okay, Sadeo Ikebe is maybe trying to lull them into a little bit of a sleep here. He's now about 14-15 seconds behind the main group. As you described, the aerodynamic advantage of that group made a big difference. He has disconnected here. He probably popped a little bit earlier, but he can still recover because the fireworks are not done. This group is likely not going to stay together. And again, this is just 2 of 3. He has the opportunity, and he's been seen to be a very, very good climber. Steve Young in a different place right now, not frothing at the mouth. He's inside the group here. He's able to benefit from the aerodynamic advantage. But who is that wearing the green jersey right there? Is that Plowers?
Phillips,
who ended up with the sprint jersey, which means as he went through that sprint zone, he had the fastest time. He was unable to get as many points as he'd like. But take a look here at this group. As you look over on the left side of the screen, you'll see the point standings right now. Lionel Vujasin with 220 points. Scotty with just, looks like 187. And Joachim with 122. That's your top 3 right now. As we look at James here, he's really, really close. These guys are doing really good work now.
Yeah, they are, and you can see them settling down into a much different pace than you saw in the time trial. You know, between 3.5 and 4 watts per kilogram. We know they can punch out, but all of them, you know, spent something in that lead out, that sprint.
They did.
So they spent something. So you know, they need to. Some need a little recovery, a little attack.
Big kick on the front right here. Gravdal trying to maybe get away. This is one of those opportunities. Steve Young caught unawares. I'm not sure what he was looking at, but Gravdal right there trying to make something happen. Vujasin right there with him. These guys are going to gather around him real quick. Those red stripes down the back, that would be the team draft jersey. We look at Greg Leo right now. He is an instrumental piece of team draft. He's not the mascot. He's the, oh, you know what? He's the cultural, he's the spiritual center of team draft. That's what we're going to call him right there. But those 3 riders are very, very attentive. Steve, however, finds himself just a couple of seconds off the back there. He might find himself in Akebe land. You know, I'd go to that theme park. I'd go to Akebe land right there.
I would go to Akebe land as well.
He's back in the group, nestled in the gentle bosom of the peloton. Gentle bosom. Look it up. No, don't look it up on the internet. Well, but Peloton, you can. Akebe smiling. He's a beautiful, beautiful human.
He always has such a fun time. There's Scotty Weiss. He now is really starting to put that game face on, and so you know, so.
Well, look at this. They're letting Gravdal get away just a little bit here. That's interesting. The PTZ rider, he has no other teammates in the race other than those that he makes on the course here.
It's a small gap.
It is a small gap, and they're kind of letting him do it. And back in the peloton, looks like they're playing a little high-stakes movie trivia. Whoever gets the right answer to the Breakfast Club question is going to have to be the one who chases him back. That could happen. But it's kind of a chat and chill going on right there with our guy, Greg Leo, just watching what happens. Gravdal may have just drifted off the front. It doesn't look like he's doing that much to get away. I mean, look at his posture right there. Just looking good, looking relaxed. I mean, he definitely open mouth, breathing. He's got a little bit of a shuffle, a Kibe shuffle going on upstairs there, but it doesn't look like he's trying that hard to get away. So maybe just testing to see what he can get, but they're coming up close on that, about 2,500 meters to that next point.
And we do see some red numbers there from Lionel and Leo answering and Scotty. So, you know, coming back here to the banner here. Now we are just 2,400 meters away to the next point line, which is where the red road turns to the black asphalt. So I don't know if they have the same visual on their screens, so they know how far away it is. But these little attacks that are happening are just maybe trying to like tire, you know, their competition out. You know, those 2 or 3 second gaps that Gravdal had, you know, that obviously gets closed up because it's just the pack is right chasing behind them. But you know, you don't see that yet. But they're back together again here,
and they're gonna pull them back. Everyone likes to sprint for this little banner because it's a very traditional sprint. More of a gap forming there behind. That's interesting. You know, Gravdal finds himself kind of at the back of this group now. You got to get connected, use that aerodynamic advantage as much as possible. But there he is, Phillips, right there from Wales, looking good. Now you'll notice, look over on his right side, our left as we look at it. Around his waist, there's just a little spot of skin there. See that little white spot peeking out there? He crashed in this jersey about a month ago. This is a skin suit that he crashed. He was going around a corner, and the bike got out from under him, and he ended up on the pavement. He's got some stitches on his forehead, too. He and I talked about it before the race. That is one of the many reasons that this type of indoor racing, and people are asking on the interwebs, why are people racing inside? Because outside racing is dangerous from time to time. And these are some great cyclists that want to take advantage of the game environment racing as well, because if he crashes in here, he's going to be all right.
Well, we do still have different issues that can happen. There are mechanicals just
Yep,
like on the road. There are mechanicals in the game, and they are equally frustrating when you experience them. And we've all experienced them in the past, but bringing some of the tactics from outside into the game does help, but also experience in the game with the tactics helps.
We are inside of 1 kilometer to go before this next sprint point. Now, this is an interesting one because it's only 1 times the points. There's not a huge difference. Someone's probably going to pop out the front here and maybe try to get away. It looks like Steve Young on the front, maybe trying to make something happen right there.
There he goes.
Big kick right there by Ploumers. He's going to take his team experimental jersey. Steve tries to catch on, but they're going to string out. That was the right time to attack right on the corner right there. Puts himself in first position, but Gravdahl comes around him. That's right. I got a little spit coming out when I said that. Ploumers trying to catch back up Vujasin. These guys are doing some sprints. Vujasin comes around him again. They come across. There was only about a half a kilometer to go here, 500 meters to go. They're pushing hard here, still stringing out. Many of these guys want to stay connected. Great overhead view from the Greg Aleo position, who's trying to climb up this. He's in a really good spot, wants to get some of these points. I knew that they wouldn't be able to resist. And if you're in the backside of this group, you've got to race too, because you're going to get dropped by this group and never get reconnected. That is the fear. Scotty Weiss comes around him, but who's going to have it at the line? Hard to tell at this point. They're still kicking, and they come on to the regular pavement right there.
I think it was Phillips. I think that might have been Phillips that came across the line. We'll see when we see their point lines. Who got the points? But
just a second.
Yeah, he did move up a spot. So he was in 4th. So he took that spot. So just 1 times points, and he did move up in the standings.
He did.
So I was actually surprised.
Greg.
Yes.
So did Greg. Joachim was in that 3rd position previously, but that's just enough points on this race, and they're about 7,000 meters from the 2X. They're going to get twice as many points for the next one as they did for this one. They calmed down just a little bit. What a great race format this is.
But wow. I mean, look at the numbers that we saw for the 3rd time.
Yes.
And so they're not holding back.
Yune Gravdahl finds himself off the back of this group, having to chase on. And as we see, right over there, we've got folks, the mechanical. There seems to be something up with his machine. We'll have some folks directly next to him, the team car, as it were, to check some things out. He's got some raised hand there. He's trying to figure out what's going on. They'll get him back in. But even if he does not reconnect with this group, and I think that they're starting to get a little bit tired, they want to save up for some of these big sprint finishes here, that he's going to be able to catch back on even with some adjustment on his thing. But even if he doesn't, it's not insurmountable. The points tomorrow are ridiculous.
Well, yeah, and if you were to look at the points from one day to the next, which I have, there are significantly more points to gather in tomorrow's racing. So there's plenty of opportunities, and as we saw, just 1 times points moved the positions significantly, from 3rd to 4th, and 4th to 3rd. Oh, and then Leo with the line. He's going to bring it down.
Leo, that's right. He's just chilling in the group.
It's kind of counterproductive to have the nose breath strip and then then put the line over it. But I love that it's to scale too.
It is to scale.
Yeah.
Or maybe he's to scale.
There you go.
He does have a beautiful, beautiful mane going on. Lots of great questions happening. Yes, this is the hardest video game ever. It looks like he has a gnome hanging from his handlebars there, his crossbars. That was exciting
Possibly
stuff.
A good luck.
Oh, I'm not sure whose waist that was. Okay, you can tell by the flannel that it's Jesper Anker. Okay, a little bit more work happening here by Phillips. Something's happening on the course here. Maybe someone has made a little of an attack, tried to get back. And it happens. Yes, they're still about 5K to go before the next one. That'd be 5,000 meters, ladies and gentlemen. But a little bit of an attack happened here by Ploumers, maybe trying to get a little bit of a separation in the group. We're not sure who instigated it. Could have been Scotty Weiss. He's been known to be an instigator. He's been branded as such. But here's what's interesting about this, right? We talk about the meta of this new meta that we're racing in right now, right? That we were talking yesterday that this is pretty much the equivalent for folks who play other games. This is pretty much the equivalent of objectives mid-game. These could be Drakes, these Dragons, these could be Merc camps, right? Something that gives you a little bit of an advantage in the overall race. It's not the person who crosses first in every race that's likely going to win this. It's the person who is really smart about when they got the points that they did.
Collecting the points.
Right, and so maybe Ploumers is exercising something here where he's just trying to get a little bit of a separation, because what he wants is a greater percentage of the overall points. And he can do that in a trio that gets off the front.
Right. That's right. That's right. And as long as you stay connected.
Yes.
That's the part. And I think that, some of these folks that have the really strong sprints are maybe trying to, not only soften the legs, but if they can get a little bit of a break and shut a couple of people off, then you already have the three of us, 1, 2, 3, and the rest 4, 5, 6. So
okay. So as we talk about this in game terms, right? Leo is definitely a DPS, right? Phillips is definitely a tank. High power. He can really put out that high power a long time. Leo, a very slight rider. He's able to get into places. He's DPS that has all that stuff going on. Speaking of Leo, you know what? I've got a great idea. I'm just doing this on the fly. I want Jesper to stick a mic in Greg Leo's face.
Yeah,
what do you think?
I think that's a great idea.
Let's do it. Jesper, stick a mic in his face.
So I'm here with Adam Zimmerman. Adam, you won CVR Los Angeles.
I did, yeah.
We're in Vancouver now. You've got all your draft boys here.
Yep.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. It's great to be back and great to support my teammates. I'm so stoked I've got 3 of them in this race. It's awesome.
So we've just seen the first stage as a time trial. Now we're in the middle of the endurance eliminator. How are the draft guys doing?
They're looking good. Right now we got Leo sitting in 4th, and this is all about the tactics. The time trial was a little race of truth by yourself, but this really comes down to tactics and who can really sprint over and over again over a long period of time.
Are you missing out? Like, are you standing around now feeling like I should be in this race?
Oh, I'm getting the itch. My heart rate probably shot up to 170 when they were sprinting just because I got so excited. So it's so cool. It's such a cool thing to see and awesome. I'm having such a great time here.
So we're almost done with day 1 already from the men's. Right. So far, who's looking like the strongest?
Yeah, well, I got to go give a shout out to my boy Leo. I think he's going to take it.
He's giving you the thumbs up.
He's going to come from behind here and start crushing it. He's just sitting in right now, biding his time. So
with 3.7 Ks to the next sprint, how do you approach this sprint? What's the actual strategy that goes into it?
Wait for 1 or 2 people to go. That's your lead out. That's kind of like your volunteer lead out. Get on their wheel, and then when you go, 100%, don't look back, all out, switch on, go for it. Yep.
Thank you very much, Adam. So good to have you around again. Back to you, Chris and Beth, over at the commentator's desk.
Look at that.
Thank you.
Can you believe it? Zimmerman just totally body blocked right there.
I know. He's like, no, you're not going to talk to Leo. He's racing.
That's right.
So that's a teammate.
Right,
that's a supporter right there.
I see what's going on there. Our own cycling lumberjack, Jesper Anker, who is right there on the side. Anchor, excuse me. There's Leo in the group now. They're about 3K from the sprint here. Now, they have a much better sense of how everyone's going to sprint. This is the first time that they've all sprinted together, and you're going to start seeing things, I predict, that are going to be dramatically different. Look at that. June, Gravdal, almost back to the group right now, recovering. We can see his body language down the line. He is definitely in a hustle. He's got to stay connected to this group, but I think we're going to see a meaningful split after this sprint because some of these guys, Joachim Plommers included, is going to need to get off the front. They're already starting to ramp up. You can hear the pitch of these trainers.
It is loud.
It is getting loud in here, right? And we've got folks on the track here too. Okay, Gravdal being coached by Tim Fulford right there. This is fabulous stuff. Maybe what happened is that he was freewheeling at the end of that, freewheeling like Jesper Fulford. That could have been what's happening. I understand he's a world-class freewheeler. There he goes. Gravdal just trying to catch on. Come on, baby, come on.
He can do it. I know
right.
he can do it. He can do it.
That is the big difference in a race like this is that people can gather around you. There they are, right there. Now, unfortunately, he's going to catch on to them at about 2,000 meters, 2K before the big sprint. And that's when I think we're going to see some of these folks try to get away.
And these guys have never raced each other head-to-head. Because they all, since they're global zones. But they're global zone winners. They might have raced in other things. But in the league, they're racing in different places. So this might be the first time that some of them have really gone head-to-head.
We know that about Akebe. He's unable to do some of the other ones because of Japanese time zone. Great job to Gravdal getting back in the group there. Yune,
that had to hurt.
Yune really working hard to get in the group. PTZ, I'm sure somewhere, BJ Alfonso, the team director sportif for Team PTZ, is smiling and having a grape soda because I understand that's what he loves.
That's the thing, sure, yeah. And there's Akebe still working really hard there on his trainer. And then he looks pretty relaxed here. Joachim looks pretty
he is. He's doing a nice job. Look at that heart rate. Upper right-hand corner in the blue. It's the black. BPM for those people who are new to this game. the hardest video game ever. 144 beats a minute. That's a pretty good place to be. Now, 144 beats a minute if you were like walking up some stairs would be uncomfortable, but on a bike, we can expect him to get into the high 180s. He's about 45 years old, so I don't know what that converts to metric in years, but he's 145, or he's 145 beats per minute, not 145 years old. But that's a nice relaxed place, but his max heart rate's got to be around 185 total. So
yeah,
he's up there.
Yeah, and I think that these guys know they're managing those things, and they know some of the other riders that are younger, their heart rate might be different,
yes,
right? So
yes.
so it's not an absolute number, but it is something to watch when you start to get to know your riders. You're kind of like looking at what the other riders are doing in terms of that. So you tend to know when you're hurting somebody and when they have more to go. You can see that Ploegemer on the front, all in a nice group here. So I don't know. What are you going to think, Chris? What do you think is going to happen in this next one?
Steve Young has found himself in a couple of spots where he hasn't gotten all the points that he wants. And these are his kinds of races. He is definitely a super tank in these, a pursuit kind of rider. He's the guy who's got to get out there. Unfortunately, they've dropped their healer, their support, Akibe. He's off the back, and he can't provide any of the sunshine that emanates from his just miraculous person, which is Sadeo Akibe.
And Gravdal back to the front.
Back to the front. Well, he knows he's got to go with any move that comes here. He cannot allow himself to be separated
protecting his position.
Again.
That's right.
It'll be interesting to have his conversation after the race today to see, really how much he recovered. But there are two big point lines coming up very quickly here. And although it's only a 2X here coming up here in just a second, it is a big, big one. How many points for the top spot in this 2X
we have 2 times.
I'm sorry. It's 1X next.
1X next. We did not the blue road. We did the crosswalk after the tunnel is what we're looking for
here.
Here he
it
goes.
Comes. They're getting out of the saddle. This is happening right now. Cunningham.
2 times
now
points.
Vujasin moves to the front right here. People starting to cheer. Vujasin takes over that top spot again. Gravdal moving up. There he is, getting in that position. There is the crosswalk coming up at the top of this hill. But there's movement behind him. Greg Leo trying to close that gap. Can he do it? There he is right there. Greg Leo's going to come up and over the top of this thing. But maybe Young waits just long enough. It doesn't look like it. Maybe Young got that first spot. Maybe the second spot. Hard to tell, but I think it went to Greg Leo. We'll know a little bit more in just a second, and any adjustments that need to be made will be made by the officiating crew. But we do know that Greg Leo just stole some points. Now, as we talk about the importance of a team, let's talk real quickly as they start to relax a little bit here. Right? Okay, we want to take a quick look at this replay one more time. Let's jump to it right now and describe what we see, Beth. Okay, the big push coming underneath the tunnel here. This is the instant replay we are watching right now. On board with Gravdal, we see Greg Leo move a little bit to the front. They're coming down through this tunnel section. The sprint line is at the crosswalk that is going to be visible here in just a minute. Lionel Vujasin, the first to kick it into high gear. Cunningham decides to go with him, but lurking in the back, climbing up the ladder, is a little man by the name of Greg Leo. Vujasin in slow motion, even more handsome than in full speed. Vujasin comes out of the saddle. He is trying to create that gap, but he is also creating a hole in the virtual wind. And if somebody can get in that hole, like Ploumers, like this man, Greg Leo, you can get at aerodynamic advantage and slingshot around, and he does. But guess who's going to slingshot as well? Steve Young. Oh, my goodness. From this angle, hard to tell, but my guess it's either a dead heat.
Yeah.
Or did it go to Young?
It looked like it did go to Young. He got 40 points, it looks like, and Greg was second. So he picked up 8 points on Leo there.
Yes.
So that was a really, really tight. And we're going to see that happen. Those little point lines there.
Yes.
That like 8 points. That the differentials become greater.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
Very quiet to this point is a man who we're going to see in the mountains quite a bit tomorrow. Now, the value of Greg Leo taking those points, those top points away from somebody else, right? Maybe you can't give them to your teammate, but you can prevent a bigger gap from forming.
That's right. You can try to get the other opponents that just knock them back as much as you can.
Yep.
And and I know that Draft has been thinking about this and plotting, and with Zimmerman here to kind of give them some sort of the tips. But Steve Young, he is strong.
He is. He's strong. And he needed those points. He needed those points psychologically. He needed those points mathematically. And he is the Watt Bike rider. Very, very strong. Okay, as we look at the way the riders see it, you can see those points starting to add up, and there was another movement I just spotted a moment ago in the overall standings. Now, Lionel, that Vujasin, at very top, still Scotty Weiss right behind him, but Greg Leo firmly in third place now with taking those points. James just in that fourth spot. Joachim is in the same fifth spot as he was a moment ago, but you'll notice who is so much closer. It looks to be only 10 points behind him is Steve Young. That is a big movement. Ikebe not able to get many points on this. He will still continue to get points. But Scott just a little bit further behind, and you know which Scott I mean, right?
Yes, Cunningham.
That's right.
That's right.
Scott Cunningham rounding out that spot there. He's doing a very nice job. He's got good points, and he's not very far away from just the riders just in front of him, which include Gavin and Joachim is in fifth place. Hard to read from this angle, but just a few points ahead. Definitely within striking distance, and definitely somebody you can jump on this last one.
Yeah, well, and then this is the point where we came around the corner on the last lap.
There's sweat on the floor, but there was movement on the course. That's really exciting. A big move as he was coming around on the red. Looks like someone's trying to get away. We see body language kicking it all over the place. What is happening on the course? A little bit of a gap happening. Gravdal trying to get off the front. He's the one with the body language trying to escape here. It looks like a little bit of a trio off the front here. Gravdal chasing down Dempster, who went for an attack trying to get away. If he can rejoin, that is a duo that will be hard to pull back. 3 seconds to the next group here. Gavin Dempster really digging it. He really has circled this spot on the course. He knows with 2.5 kilometers left to go, he might be able to drill this one to the end. 400 watts on average. What is that watts per kilo? It's a lot.
Yeah, he's right now 5 watts per kilogram off the front there. Dempster, Vujasin 10 seconds back. Coming around the corner, it looks like he's going to pick up that 1 times points here without any trouble. And whether or not that gap he has will take him to the finish line, which will give him 5 times points. So that was a really good move. He might get 6 times points if they don't close it.
But hold on there, Beth. It may not be enough. With about 2 kilometers left to go, there's going to be a surge from this group to get in a good position. If he doesn't hold that, they're going to swallow him up. They have the aerodynamic advantage. They have numbers, and they have Steve Young, who is currently stoking his furnace with anger and Pop-Tarts. Look at that man right there.
What a combination. Well, that is, there is some experimenting that I've done in game where if you do get off the front by 5 seconds and how fast the chase group can close that gap and how much more watts per kilogram you have to do. And it's a lot when you're a solo rider. And it's a lot. So, he might be taking a gamble here, but when you've got $10,000 on a line, you're going to try to get all the points you can, and a nice flat race like that. So he's going to pick up the 1 times points right here as the red road turns to black. So he'll capture those points. The rest behind him will capture the points, and then when they comes across the line.
Yeah,
maybe the 5 times.
Maybe so. Now, if he can hold that, I don't think there's any chance.
I don't think they're going to let him stay away. No.
Gavin Dempster with a very, very smart move. Now, again, this could be Team Draft's strategy here. They send Dempster off the front here, not because he's the marked man, but rather they force the other teams to chase him down if they want that 1 point.
Put Leo in a really good position.
Exactly.
Yep.
It's a race of attrition here. It's a race to of all things exhaustion, and the one who gets there at the right time usually is the one who wins. Okay, the rest of the field at this point also deciding that maybe the juice is not worth the squeeze in this case, but Draft sitting there at the front seeing who is going to do the work. It's not Vujasin at this point. It is not Weiss at this point. It could just be gentleness.
Well, they could be looking around their shoulders right now saying, I'm not going to go. I'm not going to chase. You want to chase? How many more? This next point line is only 1 times.
And look at that. He's inside of 1 kilometer to go. Unless something dramatic happens, like a big eagle comes and swoops him up and takes him to the fires of Mordor, it looks like Gavin is going to be okay. He is from the Hobbit land himself. That would be Scotland, the official place of hobbits. Sorry, not New Zealand. He's going to come across this in about a 0.5 kilometer. He's inside those red numbers right now. There's very little movement behind him. 7 seconds, 11 seconds to Vujasin is the next guy back. And Ploumers is also near the front of that, but it's not going to happen. Greg Leo definitely letting those boys do the work and not letting Team Draft do it. You can set that false pace. Looks like he's going to get those points. this is going to bump him up. He's not going to get more points than Steve. He is, he's in a different bracket of points right now, but it's going to give him a few more. How many points for that top spot here?
That top spot here is 20.
Okay, so 20 would be great, especially if Steve Young does not finish, even in the top 5 of that field sprint here in just a second. That is the statistics here. Oh, big kick right here by Lionel Vujasin. He wants all 18 of those second-place points coming down there. Greg Leo chasing him strong here. They're trying to get there. They're coming across, and it looks like he's going to end up with those points as he comes across the crosswalk. We'll call that the line right there.
Yeah.
And he's going to get 18 points, solidifying a great position. Scotty Weiss being very patient, always near the front, but never quite on it.
And also closing it down. Those sprints really closed it down to Dempster. So so if that was a tactic by draft, the pack didn't chase.
The pack didn't chase. But again, you've got your team capturing more points away from somebody else. Maybe it's not enough to win on the day. We'll have a winner on the day, so to speak. But look at that. They relax again. But Dempster keeping the tempo up. This could be his moment. Now, the group has to decide, are they going to chase? Of course, the PTZ rider, June Gravdal, did a nice job staying in the group again after this sprint. But he did briefly chase, but his exploits early, catching on, trying to catch the group again, may have done him in. Phillips still in the group, Scotty Weiss, Steve Young, Greg Leo, Steve Cunningham, all in the group.
Yep. So it'll be interesting. So this next point line is the finish banner.
And the way I'm looking at this, I'm seeing Gavin Dempster now back in the group.
Yep, they did close it down.
Okay,
they did now close it down. There are 5 times points for the finish. Oh, there he goes.
Gravdal again. He goes off the front here, trying to get away one more time. Oh, my goodness. The Norwegian rider doing everything he can to maybe create some action here. He wants to see who wants to come with him. Vujasin, only 3 seconds back now. They respond slowly. You mentioned it before. Once you see those red numbers, if you're not already ramping up, you're
lost
behind.
it. There's a little bit of a, it's 2 seconds, at least 2 seconds. Sometimes it's 4 seconds that by the time you see those numbers.
Smiling. He may actually be doing a webcast right now, interviewing with his fans. That could be pretty dang cool.
Well, Gravdal still has 4 seconds on it. And, and that's another thing. If you can hang on to the pack and then maybe attack when they're tired and not wait to the end, that might be a strategy here that he's deploying, is trying to open that up a little bit. And it's 5 seconds now. So, and it looks like the pack is not answering. He's pulling down 5.4 and Vujasin 3.2 on the with the pack there. So at least a watt per kilogram faster off the front. And the gap isn't changing. So that tells you a little bit.
Yep, here we go. And we see a team draft mounting a comeback here. And that's why you are so happy to have 3 great riders on team draft here. Scott Cunningham, who has not really contested many of these sprints, now doing the job of the domestique. That would be the laborer, the household employee, if you're just new to this game. By the way, he's a support player. He's a support main in this race today. A big, tall guy, probably not going to be your best climber. He's got the job of pulling back this lead here to give his guy Greg Leo the opportunity to get in there. And there he is, Gravdal, making sure that he is still where he needs to be. This is an incredible recovery from him, Beth.
Unbelievable. He has really shown how strong he is, because he had to fight back and he had to work so much harder to get back to the group. Then he had to stay in the group. Then he had to match all the attacks. He had to be right in position, and now he's got himself in position. You can see here and I think it's just closing up here. So he, but time after time, he has been so strong. So now with this group, it's going to come down to a sprint.
Scott doing a great job. We see the point standings as it is right now. Vujasin with 269, with 215. It was the next guy.
The next guy.
It went away too quick. Okay, so
there it is.
Okay, good things happening on the course. We'll keep an eye on those numbers, those big red numbers.
Weiss and Leo. Those
That's
are
right.
1, 2, 3.
Plowmer's not far behind there.
No.
Really in striking distance of Leo, and that could be exciting to see.
This 5 times points could really disrupt that layout, because five times points for first place is 100 points. So
Cunningham becomes even more important because he is the guy who people are not as concerned concerned about. He's lower in the points, but he can work for his teammates and do things that folks like Una Gravdahl would love to have.
Yes.
A teammate to pull back a move like that. And look at that look on his face. He's grinning. He's smiling. He's probably listening to our commentary. Going, those guys are so witty. Those guys are funny.
I don't think so.
Oh, probably not.
All right, 5 times points, 4,800 meters to go. You can see a little bit of conservation going on in terms of the numbers. On the right-hand side of the screen, you can see all of the riders and their watts per kilogram. Again, the amount of power they're putting into their pedals per kilogram of body weight, translating to the speed moving them through the game. And, so I think there's a little bit of recovery going on. Between, if you see these guys at 3.5 to 4 watts per kilogram, you know they're recovering and waiting for that big sprint. So, Chris, I'm going to put you on the spot.
Yeah.
All right, in this group, who do you see, based on what you see, that's going to take it in the sprint?
I think if the whole thing stays together, I think that actually Steve Young has one of the best opportunities to win. But he is not going to get the sprint that he wants. So I say he has the best opportunity, and then I quickly back away from that. The team, exactly. The team that has the best opportunity is probably not a team, but the single person who is patient, and stays on the wheel. And I think that person is Scotty Weiss. He is about the only rider of his vintage, who's got as much experience as he does. He knows how these things go down. If he's got legs, it's the right kind of finish. He could just ride that to the end. Also, Greg Leo could do it, but really, have I named everyone yet?
Yeah, you're just going down the list. You're pulling.
I think everybody's great.
I love everybody. Yeah.
But let's ask the internet real quick. If you're on Mixer, if you're on Facebook, throw in right now. Commit yourself.
Pick a rider.
To who you think it's going to be. Do you think it's going to be Lionel Vujasin? Do you think it's going to be Una Gravdahl? Do you think it's going to be Claudia Behring? She's not in this race.
That's who's going to win it.
Or Steve Young, Greg Leo. You tell us who you think it's going to be. Throw that sucker in there. And if you are right, we will sing your praises.
And
all right.
100 points for the first place person across that final line here.
Huge. So let's just do the math here. 2 plus 2 is 4, right? Quick maths?
Quick maths, yep.
That if you take those 100 points and your closest competitor finishes 5th and takes half those points, what a huge difference it is.
Yes. There's a lot of mathematical stuff in this point spread here that is just, I think maybe for me it's impossible to kind of calculate all of the derivatives and how it could go. But at the very end of the day, these guys are just going to sprint their legs and guts out and try to beat other people, and then but the points will follow. But the point is that it's so important, especially with these higher point multipliers. And we saw even within the race, the 1-point multipliers make a difference in the standings. But this is a points race. The last point is coming across the banner, and we're going to see some exciting stories. You know what I think about Steve though? He's so strong. I also think mentally, he's got this dig attitude. I think he's pretty tough.
I'm not positive, but I think he went to Hogwarts. I think he was Slytherin house, and I think he practices the dark arts. Look at him. Tell me he doesn't practice the dark arts.
No,
if ever there was a dark wizard, it's Steve Young, and he's about to put the Avada Kedavra on everyone else on this. The big drip of sweat. Look at that. Very Snape-like.
Yeah, definitely Snape-like. But I do think that he, he just wants it. I think he wants it.
Yes,
all these riders want it, but I think there's an intensity there.
So there's so many people in the chat saying Scotty, saying Vujasin, saying Steve. A lot of people believe it in Steve, and I think that is well spent. Those folks are Slytherin also.
Already got some red numbers there, but that wasn't quite an attack. I think there's just a little rise there that they came through.
Nice little chat and chill happening there with those guys. They're just kind of being mellow here. Ikebe now 2.5 minutes off the back, but he's going to clean up with some points here. It just won't be the number that he wants. Okay. As we peek at the things that are happening on the course, Ikebe with his shuffle, tapping it out. He's still doing a lot of work here. He's going to come up on that 5-point multiplier here in just a couple of minutes. But back to the main field, it's about to start getting crazy, and we'll go to the overhead mode when we can to get to that point. They're coming around to the finish banner right right here. They're inside of 2 kilometers to go. This is where we're going to start seeing attacks, false attacks, and little moves, and you've got to be willing and patient to go with everybody. Look at that. Gravdal drifting off the front there. No one really reacting as he comes up and over the hill here. This is really early, but we've seen lots of folks put in a dig here, put in an effort, and make something happen. He's going to get a little bit of a descent here, not much, but a little, about 3% coming down the hill here. A little bit of a gap coming toward the strand. This is where it's going to get crazy real quick. Look, it's Cunningham from Team Draft doing his job as a good domestique to try to pull this back, and there are guys right on his wheel. Look who is right on his wheel right there. That's Greg Leo, making sure that he is right there.
Comes around and uses that draft too, so you are helping your team, but other people are going to tuck right in there and close it
Oh, they made
down.
contact, and is there going to be a counterattack? There usually is. Gravdal's got to really ramp up or he's going to get dropped like a bad habit, dropped like a wet pretzel. He doesn't get dropped like a wet pretzel. He actually finds himself right in the tail gun position. I've spent a few minutes in that tail gun position in real life and in the virtual world. Cunningham on the front, tapping out of pace for Team Draft, but it is not overly aggressive. What you do want is you want to line these out. Unlike an outdoor race where you end up having to really protect your riders from crashing, they're not going to crash in here, but they do want to get that separation in time.
They do. And look at that work that he's doing on the front there. He is feeling it. We're coming around here. 737 meters to go
Inside
for
of
5
1K.
times point. This is going to be crazy. A little over half a kilometer to go. And we've got Cunningham doing the work on the front. Leo right behind him. Plows Mersk, 7.7.
Okay, coming in and around this section, we're going to dip onto the red here. We're going to be able to see the finish banner in the future here. It's coming up very soon. Plombers are doing a nice job. Phillips actually comes to the front here. Greg Leo in a good position. Team Draft trying to lead this sucker out. Cunningham says goodbye. But here we go. Phillips in a nice position, but it's Greg Leo trying to get away, but he's casting a shadow. Can anybody catch him? Maybe Scotty Weiss coming into contact here. Greg Leo unhinged. Doesn't look like anybody's going to catch him, but the group is coming very quickly. Scotty Weiss starting to come across, but Greg Leo's going to have enough of a position. He's going to steal those points. Scotty Weiss going to come in second, Young in third. Here's the scary part. Vujasin did manage to come across and take that third position, but oh my goodness.
Wow.
What a finish.
What a finish. So Leo got that jump, 1 or 2 seconds.
Kidding.
The other guys were trying to run. I saw 17.1 watts per kilogram on that. 17.1 watts per kilogram on that.
Goodness.
I saw over 14 from Scotty.
No kidding.
And coming around, but that's a lot to answer.
It is a
lot to answer. So Scott Cunningham doing the work for Draft, and earlier we saw Dempster doing the work for Draft, and Leo had enough in the sprint to go to well and bust out 17 watts per kilogram.
That is absolutely
that's
insane.
the definition of crazy go nuts, folks. So like we always hear Chris saying crazy go nuts. That sprint was insane.
Bring that guy a donut because he earned it. Gavin Dempster doing his job.
That's right.
This is interesting. Usually about this point we get a little bit of a reveal. Who is the team working for, right? And it may be a sea change here. Many of us thought it might be the young man Gavin Dempster from Scotland coming in here, but clearly Scott here was working for his guy Greg Leo. He did a nice job pulling back that one at the end. And we're going to jump to Greg Leo right now to find out a little bit more about what happened. Let's go to our guy Jesper down on the court.
Greg, the man, the lion. Let's get knuckles. That was impressive. It wasn't quite 23 watts per kilo as you promised.
No, you
but
want to see it right now, though?
Do I want to see it right now? Yeah. Is that an offer?
Yeah, it's an offer.
That's probably not as smart. There's 10 grand on the line here. Let's save some energy for tomorrow. But how badly did you want that?
I wanted that pretty bad. That was the game plan. And I got to give it up to Scott and Gavin for executing it perfectly.
Well, you can see Gavin right now. He's pretty much dead.
Beat up, man. Gavin got that sprint right before it with the long attack. Everything just went how we wanted. So at the end, I had this fellow in my ear.
I was screaming. So excited.
And I just dug deep, and there it was. I saw Scotty Weiss coming from behind, and that was just enough motivation to keep it going.
So you're going in tomorrow, third overall, 272 points. How do you feel about your chances?
Tomorrow there's a lot more points on the line. Today we got a sense of who's fresh, who's fit, and so we'll go to the team house tonight and figure out a game plan, but I feel good.
Hey man, great effort. Anything you want to say to your family watching back home?
Yeah, I want to say hi to Julia and Finn. I got the bear right here. And my family, Christina, my sisters,
up doing Ironman in somewhere else in Canada, and my mom and dad watching. So thanks everyone, and the people at Endeavor Performance. Thanks.
One last knuckles. And back to you, Chris and Beth.
Oh, thank you so much, Jesper. And that was great. Like, how can you go wrong when you have, that team set up?
Nope.
They said they executed the plan. They,
Yep.
So plan the work the plan. And then Greg was like, I've got this guy in my ear. The guy he was referring to off camera that you couldn't see was Adam Zimmerman, the LA CVR World Cup winner.
Yes.
So there you have 3 strong riders. You have the strategy, and you have Adam Zimmerman in your ear. So
Yeah, exactly.
that's some team tactics, and we are going to see team racing in CVR World Cup too. So
Absolutely.
this is kind of watching it come to light
It
in
is.
these point races. So it's we're learning a little bit about this format from the racers.
Yeah, I mean and we're seeing how they have chosen to attack the meta here, which is to not concern themselves too much with 1X. Make sure that you're up in the top half, but really put your energy in the 5X and the 3X and the big point values. And we're starting to see those kind of come to be. Okay, I think we're going to have an opportunity here in a second to take a look at that big finish again. Now, I just scanned while Jesper was doing that interview, scanned the chat here on Mixer, and I didn't see a single person suggest that Greg Leo was going to be the man to win this. Okay, so let's take a look at how this is shaped up at the very end. This is our replay happening here, and here's what we've got. And there it was, anyone. It was exciting like that. It happened so fast, really.
Well, so he made that massive watt drop, right? He got a little bit of a lead, and then the others, they were 14, 15. There were other high numbers, but it just wasn't enough. Here we see a little bit further back with 8.7 kilometers to go. Part of the plan here, what we just learned from Greg Leo, is Scott Cunningham off the front here, trying to just drill it in, and the group's right behind him. So, this started a half a kilometer out.
It did.
It's preparing for Greg Leo's sprint. It happened probably. Actually, we learned it happened last night. But they had a plan, and they said it went exactly as planned.
Look at that, Scott Cunningham just drilling it right there, leaning sideways, listing hard to starboard. And here he comes. And you see his pedaling almost completely stop right there.
1.1.
He knows he's
and then
done.
Boom.
He launches. He was the first stage. Greg Leo was the second stage, about to create geosynchronous orbit. But would his apoapsis be enough? That's right. I just threw that out there.
Did.
Scotty Weiss trying to come around him. Weiss, rather, digging as deep as he could. Vujasin trying to catch back onto the wheel of Weiss, but he can't quite get there. But look who wants to come around him even more. Plommers right there. Steve Young making the big move. Higher watts than those other guys in these situations. They learn a ton from him right here. And Vujasin doesn't give it up quite yet. He continues to dig, but it is Steve Young who comes in third position, and he continues to climb back up. So as we saw it right there, Vujasin was actually, it appeared to be in fourth place, we miscalled it previously. That's the great benefit of replay. Okay.
That's right.
Back on board. There's our guy, smiling happy as he should.
And it's so nice to be able to see their faces when they finish. I love that victory.
Yeah, no kidding. Oh, okay, so we're going to have a good conversation with Steve Young right now, who managed to get quite a few points out there at the end. And then we're going to tell you what comes next and take a short break. But you don't want to miss what the Dark Wizard himself, Steve Young, has to say. And we'll throw it to Jesper to find out what's going on.
Thanks, Chris. Steve, I believe you told me just before that you had that sprint, but you came third. What happened?
Yeah, credit to the two boys who got around that bend really quickly. I mean, Greg, his top team riding. Me and Phillips and the Innovation boys, we did it on Tuesday. It works, So when you've got a couple of team lads who still got to work just as hard as everybody else, it makes a difference. I let the little worm Leo go too far. I had his wheel. I thought, nah. Look at the state of him. He's gone way too early. I've got this for my boy Phillips. But yeah, credit to Scotty and Leo who got away from me. Well played, boys.
I mean, you walked away with the green jersey as well, so you actually had the fastest 10-second sprint, but in the end you didn't end up winning. How do you feel about that?
Well, I'll take the green jersey. It's on my back, isn't it? It's not on his back. So I've got the green jersey. They know I can put out the highest power, and they played their cards right. It's gaming. These boys, they've done their research. They've probably gone back through the videos. Me and Phillips just ate,
fruit pastels last night, just chilling, watching World Cup highlights. You know, I know these boys, other boys would have been analysing, but, you know, it's what it is what it is. I gave it my all.
So tomorrow we're actually going up hills. How do you feel about that, being one of the heavier riders here?
It's nothing. It's going up hills is all in the head. I'm always a big believer in who can suffer the most. Mentally, I'm stronger than these boys, so if they can get in my head, good luck to them. But they won't get in my head.
Well, we'll see about that tomorrow anyway, as we go up Box Hill on the London course, back to the commentator's desk.
Hey, thank you, Jesper. Congratulations, Steve. It was really nice to see that finish.
Yep.
So if we could, we have...
so much going on here.
Yeah.
So again, thank you very much for checking out on Mixer. The women's race is coming up very soon, and you do not want to miss that.
No.
So click the follow on Mixer, click the like, or whatever you do. I don't remember what it is on my MySpace page, but I also haven't seen how many people are on it. But click that follow so that you can be notified when the women go live, because if you think this was exciting, the women are amazing. And this lady right here is racing in that group. You'll get to see our own commentator, Beth York, throw down and whip those young ladies into shape.
Oh, it's going to be scary.
It is. It's going to be fabulous.
All of this is a facade right now, right?
Exactly.
So why don't we if we can take a look at the telemetry, maybe we could take a look at the leaderboard and just see the standings of the men's race before, so we can kind of talk a little bit about tomorrow. So what we have today is Lionel, solid all day long.
Great day.
Right, you don't know when someone's racing at home, like what they're going to bring to these live events. Proved the man that he is, that we saw in the league time after time.
But only 19 points separates he and Scotty Weiss.
It's a tight. That's you know, that's so tight, because that's just one position in one of like the two-time multipliers.
Yeah, no
it's
kidding.
Just one position.
One position.
So it's pretty crazy. And then
Greg Leo right there, same type of thing. If you can get just a couple of spots against one of those guys at one of the sprint points, one of the points, he can jump them again. 100 points for this was really, really powerful.
So those are the standings for the men's race after stage 2. And again, you said the women's races are coming up this afternoon.
Yes,
I believe
they are.
at 1 p.m. Pacific time.
This World Cup event is an individual event, right? But very, very soon there's going to be a team event. We see some team tactics here, but all of these men qualified individually, right? Devoid of each other. They qualified for this race. They all happen to be teammates that are here, so they're able to do some team tactics. But how do team tactics change it? Well, we want to take a quick look at one of the teams that has applied for admission in the CVR World Cup.
There's going to be a brand new team tour. Team tour, and that's kind of all being developed right now. So,
so we'll take a look at one of those right now and just get a sense of what these teams are like and could be like.
The Vision Zwift racing team as we know it today was created in 2016 after the original Vision cycling mountain bike team directed by Nathan Guerra. It started off with about 10 people and grew with every new rider. 2 years later, the team counts about 70 riders coming from 15 different countries and racing in all categories. In the past years, Vision has won a certain number of races, including the Tour de Zwift, 16 spots at CVR World Cup events and 5 podiums there, as well as 2 podiums on the eCrit finals, 4 Zwift national titles and a Zwift Academy. And all of this with no less than 16 different riders. At Vision there are no superstars, no egos, just people who enjoy racing and riding with each other. When it comes to racing, it's never about how strong you are as an individual, but how far you can push yourself towards a common goal. Not only on race day, but every single day, and that's what makes this team different. For us, being the best is not about winning and losing, it's not about the result. It's about giving everything we've got for our teammates, the ones that are right next to us and the ones who are cheering. So, who are we bringing for the CVR team tour? Well, we can't know for sure, but we're bringing a team. A team which is ready to fight, a team which is ready to win.
And that is Team
Vision. No egos? Did I hear no egos? No? Team Vision, are we talking about the same Team Vision? Hey, Matthew, Nathan.
I know.
You know, I'm loving you.
Yeah. All right, so as we said earlier, the women's race is coming up in just a couple of hours, so you'll want to tune in for that.
Absolutely.
And thank you for joining us at CVR World Cup Vancouver. We saw some amazing races. First time doing this type of a format. It's going to be crazy to see what these guys bring tomorrow, but make sure you stick around for the ladies' race.
Don't leave without clicking that follow if you haven't already clicked it. Throw something in the chat. chat and maybe a question. We'll answer them in the gap here. We'd love to communicate with the folks. But thank you for joining us. This is Crazy Wild Esports. This is the hardest video game ever. And the women's race is coming up. It's going to feature this lady, and we'll be back in just a little while. So thanks for joining us. We'll see you again pretty quick.
See you soon.
We're on a journey, and we're going by bike. Bicycles set people free. It starts as kids when bikes set us free to explore the edges of our neighborhood. It continues into adulthood when weekend rides set our minds free from work and worry. It's the reason why still today bikes are at the heart of everything we do. Through our products, we propel bike lovers forward, be it in pursuit of personal enjoyment or peak performance. Through our business approach, we strengthen our community in Madison, Wisconsin, where we design and build the vast majority of our American-made products. Through our advocacy, we promote healthier, happier, bike-smart communities, both locally and nationally. We set out on this journey the day Sarah and Chris combined names to form Sarah's. So grab a bike and join us.
What is it about riding a bike that is so liberating? What unites us all is the craving for that special feeling. This is what inspired the developers at Garneau to create the innovative, award-winning X-Comfort technology, optimizing comfort to maximize performance and, most of all, the good feelings that make us so passionate about riding. The brand new X-Comfort Zone incorporates an elasticized zone that expands up to 5 millimeters to accommodate B through D+ foot widths. We all pedal in the same way. As you push down, your toes naturally splay. And the dynamic changes that happen inside your shoe as your feet contract and expand under pressure as you ride. The pressure and friction created as the outside of your foot expands over and over against your shoe can create serious and painful hot spots and irritations. The longer you ride, the worse it can become. This makes for a level of never-before experienced comfort in the highest performing cycling footwear. Every cyclist rides for that special feeling that cycling brings to us. Each one of us has our own version of what it means to enjoy the ride. We just help make it possible.
This is my oldest son, Chad. He was a great kid, but on March 14th, 2007, I went looking for him and found him, and he had decided to take his own life. He committed suicide. It took a lot of years before I wanted to say that. There was a stigma to it. I wasn't comfortable using that word. But in recent years, I've learned that we can stop this. We can save people's lives. As a youngster, and even as a teenager, I did see some signs. But I would say things like, he's going to grow out of it. It's no big deal. It's nothing. But it is something. We can save our loved ones if we try. So if you see anything like that at all, show people that you love them. Get them help.
Depression is complex. Don't think about it as having a single cause, but that it just is. This perspective alone can give you better ways to attack it. Realize that while you may see high-profile people in the news committing suicide, that seeking support is a better way to deal with depression and stress. Don't convince yourself that it's no big deal or that it will pass. Don't worry about what other people might think. Helping people who may be struggling, even if uncomfortable, is far better than regretting forever. Do something now. For more information on how to help someone or how to get help yourself, Google for depression resources in your area.